once again, Star Wars and unboxing fans. Welcome to another episode of Darth Tuba's Star Wars Unboxing Show, Shelf Talk. I'm your host, Darth Tuba, and today we are hitting on one of our many shelves. I gotta say one thing, this is my 316th, 17th episode, and I would say out of those 317 episodes, a good solid 295 of them have been unboxing toys, right? Which is, it's an unboxing show. You figure most of them should be unboxing toys. Well, all right, that's fine. But the problem is, or not the problem. I don't want to call it a problem. It's not a problem. It's more of a challenge, okay? And the challenge comes with, how do you display stuff? How do you put stuff up? I mean, when you have boxes, and you've heard me say this if you've watched this channel, my biggest reason behind this became, and I'm sorry if my boiler kicks in, it's probably going to kick in a second. Sorry. But one of the reasons that I struggle with this is that, one of the original instigators of having a channel that was devoted to unboxing Star Wars toys was because I had so many boxed toys, and the boxes were taking up a lot of room, getting damaged because they're in a space with a tiny bit of moisture. I don't have the ability to fix that, so I either have to not collect or collect and unbox. And I enjoy seeing the toys, playing them, posing with them, doing all sorts of stuff like that. So it's great to be able to unbox. But then I have the challenge of, okay, what do you do with all of these different individual pieces? And, if you collect it all one way, if it was all Hasbro or all Sideshow or all General Giant, you could do any kind of displaying and they all kind of fit the same format, so it's not a problem. But for this, we have a ton of stuff all over the place. And by the way, if I start repeating myself and starting to redo shelves that I had done earlier, please forgive me, okay? It's not meant to, I'm not getting senile. It's just there's a lot of stuff here, and I don't think I've done this already. I don't think I've reviewed this shelf, all right? But if I have, I apologize. I don't think I have, though. So what do we got here? Well, we got a lot of different stuff here, and I'm going to take them off one at a time so you can kind of see them. It's kind of a mishmash, and it's part of the reason I do this, too, is to maybe kind of rearrange, all right? Because it's always nice to do. Why don't we start over here with our Lunchboxes. This one you might have seen in a recent episode. This is simply a kind of a new, I'm trying to think if there's anything inside of it. I don't remember. It was put out by Funko. I can't remember if there was anything inside. I think there was. But it's essentially like an old-fashioned lunchbox, metal lunchbox. But what I loved about it is that it had the vintage Topps trading card look to it. Okay, it had the the kind of format with the little Star Wars imprint over it. And you had some cool imagery of Han and Chewie, followed by 3PO and R2. Nothing on the bottom, nothing on the top. But then you also had Luke, Leia. I like how you have Leia here on Tatooine. She was never on Tatooine, at least not in too many stuff. So she tried to get there, but she didn't quite get there. So cool thing. Nothing in it. It's empty. Sometimes these things I do double and use them to hold smaller items, smaller loose collectible things. So I enjoy collecting a few tins like that for that reason. Okay, and over here we got another one similar. This is a Cinemax coming in November. So this was essentially a promotional thing. I think there's anything on the inside here for Star Wars, I think 2006. So this was coming to Cinemax in 2006. So they did a cool little thing. Not much to it other than that. Okay, it's all blank. So it really just had this photo. At the time, remember, 2006, prequels just ended. So we only had the 6 movies, and we thought that's all we were going to get. So at the time, it was kind of cool to see this thing with Vader in the middle, original trilogy over on this side, prequel trilogy on this side. Okay, so that was a cool thing. Now, I will say, I do not have a sentimental attachment to every single item I purchase. It would be impossible, okay? The day will come where a lot of these things... In fact, I move stuff in and out of the collection all the time. I'm not a Steve Sansweet, for those who know, the collector of the largest collection of Star Wars at Rancho Obi-Wan in Petaluma, California. Someday, my Graceland, I plan to get there. But I don't collect everything to try to own every piece of Star Wars. Okay, it's just things that kind of pass my fancy, things that are interesting to me. Sometimes it's just nice to go into a store and purchase Star Wars because we had so many years where that wasn't even a thing. All right, so this was something there. But will I keep this forever? Probably not. I generally will do a sale and sell a few items and then use the money from that to put back into the budget for new items, okay, or maybe some more high-end items. So, but at the time, it was a neat purchase, and you know, it is a functional thing. It serves a purpose if you want. Again, if you want to store stuff in it, and I do have an affinity for the Lunchbox craze. And speaking of that, here's one in the back, an actual Lunchbox that I actually purchased and I actually used. This is obviously, you know, my last episode we just had a Count Dooku Hot Toys figure. This is obviously Attack of the Clones Episode 2, one of the many licensed items that came out during that time. This is making a rattling sound. It's not metal, it's plastic. Oh, yeah, because it has the thermos. Cool. Now this is interesting. Who is Anakin? It looks like Anakin. I'm not sure who Anakin's fighting. I guess it's Count Dooku. He's got the short hair. So, or it could just be Luke. I don't know who that is. I'm not exactly sure who that is. I do, little case in point, I do ask to, keep the thermos pieces separate. That's why you're hearing a lot of sound there. Just because if you use the item, then there's going to be liquid in the thermos, and you want to make sure that dries out. So, again, no real art on the back. That's why that first one I showed you was really good, because it was art all around. This is a plastic, thermos. There's the thermos logo. Okay, this was actually an in-used item that, my daughter actually used it for a couple of years as a lunchbox. So, there we go. All right, and then in terms of, I think this is the last box here, one of the last. Oh, before I get to this one. Sorry. We got these two. These are put out by Hallmark. This is a vintage Star Wars fully replicated lunchbox. It does not come with the thermos, okay? And a fully replicated Return of the Jedi. But let's go through them. Like you see, I'm sorry for the glare, but you got these were great. These were so awesome. I'm sorry there's a school day tag on them, but the art in the back was really good. You got the art all the way around. And it did come originally, the original full-size one came with a thermos, so that was cool. And then you got the Return of the Jedi one. And again, some great unusual art. Okay, art on all sides. There's Wicket. You got the band there, you got Max Rebo, and you even got Jabba on the bottom. So Hallmark put these out, I'm trying to think of what year, 2000. So Hallmark put these out. Hallmark has had a great relationship with Star Wars over the last 20 years, and it's fantastic that they're doing that. And you might say, well, where's the Empire Strikes Back one? Well, that one, I'm happy to say, is right here. Vintage, rusted, my Empire Strikes Back original lunchbox. There it is, and it's all of its glory. Picture art, not paintings. Okay, there's Yoda. There's some snowtroopers. There's that great Vader, and again, it's got some price sticker stuff on it. So this was a used item. In the bottom, you got 3PO walking there. I think it's the 3PO, or is it? Yeah, it's 3PO. And you got Cloud City on the bottom. And on the inside of this, do I have a thermos? Yes! I even have the Yoda thermos. So, as lunchboxes go that have been used, I think this one's actually in pretty decent shape. It's got a little rusted on the sides, but not too bad. So, yeah, I guess this has been, a lot of this was a lunchbox shelf. I don't own enough lunchboxes to warrant its own dedicated shelf, but maybe I will someday. So, now you can see a lot of these things. We just got a lot of unusual stuff, okay? Like these little guys, we got a couple of droids. These all came from a droid builder thing from Disney. Okay, we got a couple of R5 units. We got a couple of R2 units. I'm actually going to move these. That's another reason why I do this. Is like, because if you looked on a few episodes ago, we have the whole droid cleaning kit. Okay, with the it's color changing. But I want to move these droids. They're definitely from Disney, and I want to move them over there so we can kind of keep them all close together. I'm a big fan of having the astromech droids. I love collecting a lot of them. All right, what else we got here? We got some unusual things. We got a yo-yo looking like the Trade Federation ship. Obviously one of the many, many Episode 1 products. Okay, pretty cool. This one lit up when you used it. Okay, I had another one. I think it looked like the droid Deca. Speaking of droid Deca, this is one of the Tiger Electronics games. It was basically, it was a really cool effect. Tiger Electronics came out with a lot of stuff. And I've kept a couple of them, okay? But, this thing would open up and like while you were playing. But the game itself was just Little tiny, very basic graphics. So, but I did like, you know, I'll keep some things in the collection that just had a nostalgic twinge or just a little, just looked cool, something different. And I thought Tiger Electronics did some really, really cool stuff. I think they also did the yo-yo as well. And then we have this actually is a Pit Droid alarm clock. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if does this go all the way up? I don't think it does. Does it? I'm afraid to even move it. No, I don't think it does. I think it's just the head kind of moves up like that. And it doesn't even do it automatically. It's got a little clock on there. Obviously, I've taken the batteries out. And I think this was actually part of a Jar Jar plush that would kind of give you the time. It was new technology for the time, but I always thought the Pit Droid thing was kind of cute. I loved the Pit Droid. I thought the Pit Droid was a great addition. Okay, moving on. Here's some, I guess you got to call them unlicensed items. There was a company in Japan, I believe, that would do, let's see if I can get this little piece of plastic off there so it's not reflect. They would, I meant to do that. Shh. Oh man. Yeah. Being unlicensed means that can also sometimes mean shoddy workmanship. Poor guy's head fell off. So, but I get it back on. There we go. So basically they did kind of an enlarged version of a Lego, almost like a Lego character. The name is escaping me. And again, I did collect bootleg. I'm not ashamed to say that. And why? Because for a long time, this is the only way you could get new Star Wars. Okay, so now that there's tons of Lego and other things that have come out, these things have become, some people still like them. I've stopped collecting any new ones, but I keep the old ones around because they're cute. Brick Face, I think is what I want to say Brick Face, but I believe you can find them in Japan. And this was one that was kind of set up in a little silver tin. All right, and now episode 1, Queen Amidala film action container that had candy in it. I'm a kind of a one and done type of thing. I mean, there was probably like 10 of these, and I collected one. And there's still food inside of it, which I know I've said not to collect, but this one is sealed pretty hard shut, so I just kind of said, well, it's hard candy. I'm never going to eat it, but I just kind of like it. And again, it's not a value thing. It's more of a just a moment in time. And it came with a lenticular thing. It's kind of hard to make out, but there's a picture of Padme Amidala. One of our favorite scenes in episode 1 when they go and they do the ascension guns going up. This is right before that, so that's a cool little... It's just a little moment in time. I like to collect moments in time. I guess you can call it that. This one, oh my goodness. This is a model that I put together, a snap-together kit, but that had the wind-up walking feature. And it actually... He kind of does the moonwalk. Sometimes he walks forward, sometimes he walks back. Oh, he's turning. Look at that. All right. I'm going to let you run out your battery or your wind up here. All right. These are two more. This is another Tiger electronic thing. Again, battery's out. It's essentially just a recording device. You could record messages and play them back. It was a cute little item, looks like the Falcon, loved the Falcon, so kind of a cool little addition. Angry Birds, because why not? This is, again, I don't collect a lot of these, but there's a moment in time that there was a Star Wars Angry Birds crossover. Remember that? Anybody remember that? Not too long ago. This came out in 2013, so it wasn't even that long ago. But I want to say something here. Okay, now, mind you, I collect this because I'm not a huge Angry Birds fan. I didn't hate Angry Birds. But, I want you to think about this. We had an Angry Birds crossover. We had a Family Guy crossover. We had a Robot Chicken crossover. And at that time, there were no new Star Wars movies No Disney purchasing. I mean, Angry Birds they did, but that was after the fact. I ask all the fans out there to really ask yourself. Don't comment. You can't comment, but don't leave comments or send me emails unless you really want to have a discussion, a friendly adult discussion about it. But would you rather have a time now where Star Wars was just, Family Guy, also just parodies, or would you rather have one where there's new Star Wars movies, new movies coming on, down the pike, Mandalorian, Galaxy's Edge, and Disney World and Disneyland? I don't know about you, but I am much happier. I was happy back then. I loved having Star Wars Family Guy. And I loved that there was Angry Birds, and I loved that there were Star Wars M&M things. Okay, but I am really happy that we had Rise of Skywalker, Last Jedi, Force Awakens, Rogue One, Solo, 5 movies for goodness sake, and Mandalorian with a Cassian show coming, a Kenobi show coming. Oh my goodness. It is a great time to be a Star Wars fan. And, oh yeah, by the way, Galaxy's Edge. So, there we go. All right, come on with some more things. This is okay, kind of a mini cookie jar. I think this is one of those things that you can get at Target around the holidays, where they could do that. I just like these little kind of items. And again, it was just nice being able to see there being options for interesting gifts like that. Some of these things I bought myself, some of the things as a teacher, students find for me, so it's always a nice thing. Moving right along, from Japan, a Battle Droid Pepsi can holder. You can hold this and then you can actually put a straw right through his head and drink your Pepsi. I actually saw this online. Again, my thing's about to, oh yeah, I think it does this, ready? Sorry for the thing. Yeah, it's kind of a cool little setup, right? I'll do it again. How do we? Not sure how it actually. Oh, I'm sorry. I had a button. Here we go. Not meant to last forever, but there you go. Roger. Such a cool little thing. Okay, Japan came out with some great, awesome stuff for episode 1, and I'm really sorry that we didn't get to see more of that stuff. So, continuing on. You gotta have walkie-talkies. Kids, back in the day, before there were cell phones, you had 2 forms of communication, long distance form and short form. Long distance form was a phone that had a cable that attached to a wall, and you had to either stand or sit next to the phone, or if you had a long cable, you could go and move it into another room and sit down. That is our level of talking long distance to people over the phone. Or if you wanted to just get within a mile radius, 2 mile radius with your best friend who lived next door, you had these. You had walkie-talkies. Press and speak into them, and then the other person would hear it. They still make these. They're still great. In fact, I've seen walkie-talkies for Force Awakens, Last Jedi, even Rise of Skywalker. So they're still around. But I just thought one set, Stormtrooper and Vader, can't go wrong. Can remind us of our good old days, if you want to call them good. I don't know. Having to use walkie-talkies. They never worked really well, but it was a cute idea. And then speaking of telephone, believe it or not, or is this a telephone? Oh no, sorry, this is the clock. My bad. This is a Star Wars Darth Vader alarm clock. Basic digital clock, okay? It's right here on his waist here. Okay, and then, I don't know what year this came out. This might have, 1995, so this wasn't that old. But, kind of cool stuff. Man, there were so many weird things. And I just love collecting the weird things, but it's hard to display the weird things because they're all over the place, Episode 1, Obi-Wan Kenobi, lightsaber, candy. I'm afraid to even open this. I'm not going to open this. There is still candy in there, and it's now breaking down and it's stuck. So, again, I don't know how long this is going to last, but it was a reminder of Episode 1 and all the amazing and weird stuff that came out. Because can you imagine? I mean, I guess it's like a lollipop, but it's kind of weird. So, there you go. You have that. This blows my mind. In what year was this? 2000. In the year 2000, they came out with a 300th figure. a 300th figure, and that was in the year 2000. I believe they started doing a count with Luke Skywalker 1978, meaning the original vintage line. And they had 94 figures there, and then starting in 95, they started releasing new figures, resculpts and new figures. And when they got to this one, they made a big little package deal here, and they called it figure number 300, Boba Fett. It's hard to see it, but nice little pose shot, nice little backdrop. I didn't unbox this because I already have one, and I unboxed that one, okay? So, kind of cool, comes with a base, nice stuff. That was in the year 2000. It is now 19 years later. How many, I think they came out with a 500th figure, that was Vader, and we haven't had that yet, because I think that even this isn't a true 300th, all right, because they didn't take into account variations, different kinds, and what accounts for a variation. Is it a different color, it's just too confusing. But 300 in 2000, I don't even want to know how many figures have come out since then. And I've gotten rid of some. I'm not a completist collector with figures either, but, trying to keep one of every sculpt. All right, moving right along. And then, I don't think this is working, but you haven't lived until you've owned an electronic Jar Jar Binks Pez dispenser. You can probably see this on a lot of other channels when they talk about the weirdest Star Wars things that ever came out. This is one of them. You press this button, and his tongue would go back and forth on this little thing here and take out a Pez. Yeah. I spent money on this. But you know what? My parents, my dad, my brother, they're Jet fans. New York Jets. They're Jet fans. I collect this. Which one of us is crazier? I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, my brother's watching. Sorry. But yeah, it's cute. It's weird. I like collecting weird. What can I tell you? All right, moving right along here. We got these were kind of cool. I found these in a toy show. These are metallic figures. It comes in a tin, and they're just these really cool metallic kind of figures. They had a little back, and there's you can tell that there's a little kind of lip on them. But they were just a neat idea, different take on them. And they kind of come stored in this nice little thing. So, and it's just Return of the Jedi Series 3. And I think they were based on a set of figures that a regular set of figures that they released. But this is like some special metallic impressions, collector cards, third in a series. I don't know if they were limited edition. Limited edition. Kids, when they say limited edition, that means nothing. They're limited. Could be to 1 million. Okay, that's still limited edition. So, but still, it was cool nonetheless. Lego was coming out with these interesting pens that had a Lego figure on them. I gotta say, the minifigure to me is one of the most pop culture important items in the 20th into the 21st century. So, the Star Wars ones are just amazing. You can design the pen and do different things. So I bought like 2 of these, and I tried to use one as an actual pen, and that wasn't that great. But as a display item, plus it's kind of a cool little canister, it works out really well. So I thought those were kind of neat. This came out in 2002. Okay, so the Lego brand has been around with Star Wars for a long time. So there you go. All right, and lastly but not leastly on this one, I know there appears to be more, but you can see that's all facing the other way. There was a previous episode where I did. It's kind of my R2-3PO shrine, but it's on the reverse side. Okay, so you'll have to check that out. But this is Star Wars' answer to kind of like to Play-Doh. Okay, now kids, if you don't know what Play-Doh is essentially just this like malleable kind of clay, and you can do kind of fun stuff with it. And make it. They always have the barber shop where you have like a figure and you push the stuff through his head and it comes out his hair, and you can cut the hair, and it's like a clay, right? And like clay, you're not supposed to let it dry. It's supposed to stay soft. But if you leave it out and it gets too much air, it dries out. Well, I think that somebody kind of came up with the idea to take something like Play-Doh, let it dry, and then harden and use it like to like a clay and actually paint stuff. So there was kind of like its own version of a ceramic making set. This Millennium Falcon, you can see on the back here, was essentially a mold. Okay, well, it's a play set, but it's also a mold. Do I have this open? I don't know if it's open. I don't think it is. Oh, maybe. All right, we got a future unboxing. We have a future unboxing. Oh my God, this came out in 1996. So 2006, 2016. So 24 years. 24 years. I don't even know if the Play-Doh stuff is still good. I call it Play-Doh. It's not really Play-Doh. But generally what you do is you can make little molds with the dough, right? And then let it dry. Then you take your markers and you can color it. And then you have your little play sets, okay? Is it a great set? Is it a great thing? Well, they had a couple. I'm trying to see if I have any open ones here. I don't see any at the top of my head here. But they had a couple of sets. I only got a couple. I think I opened up one. I kept one closed. But I might open this one up because it's kind of a cool thing. Again, it's a moment in time. They never really did it again. Yeah, 2 cans of air hardening compound, which is essentially Play-Doh. Play-Doh is an air hardening compound. I don't know if it's... I can't remember if Hasbro actually owns Play-Doh. I think they do. But, so, that was a cool thing. A cool idea. Way to get very creative. I want to say one thing that I think is interesting. I want to take a good look at Han Solo. Like, look at how they chose to color him. The brown shirt instead of white. He looks like the Solo, A Star Wars Story Han Solo. I think that this came out in 1986. I mean, it's pure coincidence. I know that, but it's just funny to see that they actually designed for this. They actually designed it. I wonder if the people that were designing the look of Han Solo for the Solo movie, a younger Han Solo, if they decided to adopt something like this. Who knows? Kind of cool. Well, anyway, so that will do it for this kind of lengthy episode of a shelf talk, but I was pretty proud of that. Now, I do want to talk about one other thing. It's kind of a long-term thing, and it might take years, okay? But I've been looking around, I've been watching other videos, and I gotta say that I really am hoping to be able to do some kind of an upgrade to my shelving here. These shelves are, and I've said this on previous episodes, these shelves are nice. They weren't very expensive, okay? They're versatile in that you know, there's space on the outside, you can overlap, but you know, as you can see, there's a lot of up and down space here, and it was getting wasted. So I'm trying to figure out ways to do better. Honestly, I think bookcases, like I did in the other room in previous episodes, the black bookcases, I think those are a better bet. But I have to kind of figure out the best way to do it, and I also have to figure out, you know, if I'm losing too much space by, you know, because these are pretty big. And they do take up a lot of space. It's bigger items here. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm thinking about it. Wheels are turning. If anybody has any suggestions, shoot me an email. If you know of anybody that does really cool displays, you know, share that with me. You know, just because I'm interested in just trying to figure out ways to do it. It is a boiler room. It's a big boiler room. And I have to stay away from the, you know, boiler and oil heater and oil tank and stuff. But I have a lot of room. And I can do something, I think, pretty cool. I'm just not sure what yet. So if you think of anything, let me know. I'm playing around with different ideas. So that'll do it for this week's episode of Darth Tuba, Star Wars Unboxing Show Shelf Talk. And like, subscribe, hit the notification button. And you can't comment, but shoot me an email, darthtuba77@gmail.com if you have any questions or comments or things you want to see happening. I know. There's some people that were really into my vintage collection. I will continue to showcase the vintage collection, but I just have a lot of other things I'm working on right now. So, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, may the Force be with you.